All right, good morning, everyone. This is the Western Municipal Water District Regular Board Meeting, May 19th, 9:30 a.m. Tammy, can you read our coronavirus protocols in for us, please?
Yes, thank you. Good morning. In an effort to protect public health and prevent the spread of COVID-19, and in accordance with the Governor's Executive Order N-29-20, the public may view this board meeting online or virtually, as there will be no public location for attending in person. This meeting is live streamed online at WesternMWD.com. As stated on the agenda, members of the public who wish to comment on any item within the jurisdiction of the district or any item on the agenda may make comments virtually or by submitting comments on the district's website. Comments received on the district's website before 4:30 p.m. May 18th, 2021 will be made part of the board meeting record. For those participating in the Zoom virtual meeting who wish to provide public comments, please indicate such by using the raise hand feature and we will call on you individually. You can access the raise hand feature by opening the participant list and clicking the raise hand button at the bottom of the list. For those participating by telephone who wish to provide public comment, you may do so by pressing *6 to unmute yourself. If there is more than one caller, you will be identified and called on one at a time. Any public comment will be limited to 3 minutes in duration. I will now take roll call for the meeting. Due to the complexity of conducting this meeting by Zoom and telephonically, I will not be taking roll call for staff members or the public at this time. Director Galliano.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Director Rizvi.
Good morning, I'm here.
Thank you. Director Gardner.
I am here as well.
Thank you. Director Torres.
Here.
Thank you. President Denstedt.
Good morning, I am here.
Thank you. Good morning. President Denstedt, you do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll go ahead with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I believe we have a staff-recorded Pledge of Allegiance, so if everybody would join me.
We do. Stephanie Ober is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance today from our accounting team.
Do you mind if we manually do the pledge today? The video wasn't working.
The video is not starting. We'll need to manually do the pledge.
Okay. All right. Director Denstedt, we're having trouble getting the video to run. Could you lead us in the pledge, please?
Mr. Miller, I think you can go ahead and do that honor.
All right, everyone follow me. Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Certainly appreciate that. Okay, at this time, folks, we'll go ahead with public comment. This is for the public to comment on any item which is not currently posted on our agenda today, and for under the jurisdiction of this agency to be able to act upon from this body. Madam Secretary, is there anyone who wishes to speak under public comment today?
President Denstedt, I do not see anyone raising their hand. I did receive one written comment prior to 4:30 p.m. yesterday. That comment has been provided to the board for review and is available upon request by the public.
Could you read it to us, Tammy?
Yes, Director Torres, just one moment. Comment received from Richard Martinez from Riverside, California. I do not agree to the increase in water rates. Now with the community finally getting the upper hand with COVID and people getting back on their feet, a hike in rates is bad timing. I get the feeling that this is just a formality with the eventual rate increase. The community does not need that. Affordable water is a basic need for the tax-paying citizens of our community. I lived in Riverside for 42 years, and as a proud resident, I know there are dry winters and very wet winters, but overall, it all evens out. Gas at the pump is already increasing, and with a water increase, that just adds more stress to all families. Like I mentioned in the beginning, this is bad timing. All indications are prices on everything is increasing. Currently, I see the rates are already high, and people in our community have the water bill figured into their budgets, and the WMWD is getting paid. Raise the rates and run the risk of people in the community not paying their bills on time. Then it costs time and money for the WMWD to send out notices. More WMWD resources being spent of making payment plans with customers. Currently, WMWD is getting premium water rates in Riverside compared to other parts of Riverside. Do not be greedy. Right now, WMWD is getting its fair share for water. Raise the rates and be at risk of running people out of the area and getting nothing. I'm familiar with business, and in these times, it's better to get something rather than nothing. End of statement.
Thank you, Tammy.
Okay, seeing no other public comments before us today, we'll go ahead and move on to the consent calendar. Anybody wishing to pull any items from the consent calendar today?
So moved.
A second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve and a second. Madam Secretary, I just want to make sure we don't have any members of the public wishing to comment on our consent calendar today.
Madam President, I have a short comment. I just wanted to thank our staff organizations for their hard work and a bit of sacrifice in the new contracts, which are part of the consent calendar. That's going to save our customers some money over time. And it is a bit of a sacrifice on the part of our employees. And I appreciate it, and I'm sure the public will as well. So thank you.
Madam
And thank you,
President.
Director Gardner.
Thank you. Madam President, I do not see any other comments requested or requests for comments.
Thank you very much. If we could go ahead and have a roll call vote, please.
Thank you. Director Galliano.
Yes, I'm going to vote yes on this, and I concur with what Michael just said. And I want to thank staff and everybody that's been involved in this process.
Thank you. Director Rizvi.
Yes.
Director Gardner.
Yes.
Director Torres.
Yes.
President Dinstedt.
Yes, and I appreciate the sentiments of my colleagues, and I concur with you. So thank you very much for that. We'll go ahead and move on
Thank you.
to items to be added to the agenda.
Thank you.
Mr. Miller.
President Dinstedt, the motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
We have nothing to add to the agenda today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller. We'll go ahead and move on to our action agenda, 7A, Mr. Miller.
Item 7A is a resolution, and it's Resolution 3170, recognizing the week of May 16th as Special Districts Week. Michael Hadley is here to give us a little bit of background. Michael? Hopefully.
Greg, I don't see Michael on the call.
All right. Michael's not on the call to give us a little bit of background.
I'll take a motion for adoption.
Can I have a motion for adoption?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any comments on this item, Madam Secretary?
I see none.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call for the roll call vote, please.
Thank you. Director Galliano.
Yes.
Director Rizvi.
Yes.
Director Gardner.
Yes.
Director Torres.
Yes.
President Dinstedt.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. The motion passes 5-0.
All right. Thank you, directors. Item number 7B is to consider the adoption of Resolution 3104, establishing an obligation for commercial industrial customers to pay for additional sewer capacity flows. This went to the Engineering Committee. Derek Kawai is here to give us a brief presentation. Derek?
Thank you. Good morning, directors. This item is, excuse me a second. This item is to establish an obligation for commercial and industrial customers to pay for additional sewer capacity due to flows in excess of their purchase capacity. Next slide. Western's board has already passed ordinances 387 and 393 that authorize charging sewer capacity fees to developers for new homes, commercial and industrial businesses at the time of connections to the district's sewer system. This fee goes towards paying the cost of wastewater treatment and conveyance system capacity necessary for safely collecting, treating, and disposing of sewage. Western already has the authority to reassess sewer capacity for commercial and industrial customers who are discharging in excess of their own sewer capacity. Next slide. The problem is that we don't currently have a process that is delineated, that is thought to be fair and equitable to determine exactly when and how much a customer is over their capacity. The proposed solution addresses this issue, in which recent audits of sewer flows have revealed that we do have an issue in front of us, that some customers have not purchased their fair share of capacity in the sewer system. Next slide. For instance, just down the street from our main office, we discovered that a food manufacturer had increased their sewer flows. When we checked their purchase capacity, we found out that they had insufficient capacity on Western's books relative to their current flow. Staff discussed this with their management and they brought in a consultant to make their processes more efficient, to not waste so much water down the sewer. Nevertheless, they were still over their capacity. The billing rate was adjusted for the higher maximum flow, but it took a longer time to resolve how much capacity the customer needed to purchase. After considerable study, time, a lot of back and forth, we were able to get the customer with insufficient capacity to purchase additional capacity. However, this event taught staff that we did not have a clear procedure for reassessing sewer capacity after the customer increases their sewer flows, that is, after they've moved in. Next slide. This resolution sets up a clear set of procedures that staff can follow when it appears that excessive flows are coming from a customer. It allows staff to perform sewer flow audits to measure maximum flows. Water meters are measured monthly, but it is a peak flow throughout the month that are more impactful to the system. The proposed procedures specify how to measure the flow so that the procedures are not arbitrary. The resolution does not require purchase immediately. However, it does require that the customer's monthly bill be adjusted accordingly. It allows a grace period of 12 months to purchase additional sewer capacity if needed. The resolution sets up a mechanism for allowing customers to lease the flow while they attempt to lower their sewer capacity. This slide shows an example calculation of how the lease payment is calculated. For example, for an industrial customer, let's say a food manufacturer, who has 65 EDUs, or the equivalent of 65 homes worth of sewer flow over their capacity, we've presented the calculation of what the lease charge would be while they work out a way to either reduce that flow or pay for the additional capacity. Up here you can see in this particular example, the total lease charge throughout the time it took for them to resolve it was $16,705 for this food manufacturer. Next slide, please. So the resolution allows for 110% margin before additional sewer capacity is required to be purchased. In other words, there's a grace there. It also allows customers to request to reduce their own capacity for monthly billing purposes and provides for a procedure for doing this. I must note that this resolution does not change the sewer rates. It clarifies procedures for properly assessing sewer capacity fees and rates. I invite your questions now.
All right, thank you, Derek. Any questions or comments from the board?
Just a clarification maybe for anybody who's listening. This also provides a mechanism for a customer that has excess capacity to sell that either back to Western or to another customer, does it not?
What it does is it actually has, it has a mechanism for a customer to indicate if they have if they're using less flow than what the capacity is that they have, and then their rates can be adjusted accordingly.
Okay. Could they apply for a refund if they had been overpaying?
This particular resolution does not have mechanism for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Any motions?
Make a motion to move.
I'll second.
Okay. Any public comments on this item, Madam Secretary?
I see no request to comment at this time.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call for the vote, please.
Thank you. Director Galliano,
Yes.
Director Rizvi,
Yes.
Director Gardner,
Yes.
Director Torres,
Yes.
President Denstadt.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. The motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, directors.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on, Craig, to C.
Let's go on to 7C. This is to consider approval of design services contract with Michael Baker for our pipeline replacement program. So this went to the engineering committee also. This has been a long time coming, and this is all part of our asset replacement program. So Derek, could you remind the board about our presentation in engineering committee?
Sure. I wanted to step through the presentation. It does give a good overview of what our pipeline replacement program is. So next slide, please. So the pipeline replacement program has several objectives. One, we want to ensure reliable, high-quality water services always. We want to maintain the water system in a fiscally responsible manner. We want to reduce risk, consequences, and the cost of untimely failures. And we want to focus on pipelines at the end of their practical service lives. And we want to replace pipelines strategically and proactively. Next slide, please. So let's take a look at Western's pipeline inventory. First, Western has just under 500,000 miles of pipe in service today. The pipelines were built from the 1930s to essentially just last month. I know what you're thinking. Western was established in 1954. But if you see that deep red mass of pipelines in the upper right-hand corner, that is the March Air Reserve Base, and we took over all of the pipeline inventory when we took on service of the base and the associated pipelines. Those ones were built, and some of them as old as in the 30s. Much of those are made of cast iron pipe that is no longer used, and we have started to address those pipes with the recent completion of the Graber Pipeline project, in which we replaced a long strip along the main thoroughfare, which helped with pressures on the within the base area, and of course replace that pipeline with new pipeline that's corrosion resistant. We also have a proposed project that we're bidding for construction in the civilian area on that same corner of the base that's called Green Acres. But cast iron is not our only problem. We have about 149 miles of asphalt wrapped steel pipeline that is starting to fail in many locations throughout the district. I will show you some examples shortly. We have also concrete coated steel that is performing much better. Nevertheless, it is made of metal, so it is subject to corrosion over time. The remaining balance of the pipe is PVC that was placed more recently and generally performs very well over time. Next slide, please. But back to the more difficult pipe. Just wanted to show a few examples of the pipelines pipeline failures that we've had more recently. Over in Mission Grove area, near our old office, where Western used to be located, we have some pipe that's been failing due to corrosion. This is due to harsher soils and groundwater causing excessive corrosion. Next slide, please. Over near the former base in Green Acres, we have some cast iron pipes that fails often. When it does, it causes flooding of apartments and sinkholes, as shown here. Next slide. Over in the Gavilan Hills area, we have some of the larger diameter concrete coated and lined pipe that has failed. So again, it does tend to perform better, but we do get failures in this line, and it's a larger line, and it's a bigger deal when these fail. Next slide, please. And in the El Sobrante area, we have an example of the infamous asphalt wrap pipe that has been failing more and more frequently. The issue with asphalt wrap is that essentially it's bituminous impregnated paper that is used to wrap around the pipe back when they did this. And the tar tends to dissolve over time, leaving essentially no coating. This allows corrosion to rapidly degrade the pipe. Next slide, please. So what is the plan? Engineering and operations staff have developed a short list of pipes that need immediate attention. These are the pipe segments that have been failing repeatedly. The board has already approved bond sales to cover over $5 million of repairs per year for the next 2 years. Our challenge is to effectively replace pipes without getting bogged down in permitting, traffic, or environmental issues. To do this, we are targeting the easier pipe segments first. These are relatively short segments that will reap the most early benefits. Later, we'll target the more difficult pipe routes, that is, the ones that are more challenging with regards to traffic, permitting, and environmental issues. To do this, we're proposing to hire a design engineering firm that has submitted a proposal that matches this approach. Staff advertised for this work and received 6 proposals. Next slide, please. Received 6 proposals. Of these, Michael Baker International submitted the highest ranked proposal. Staff is requesting that Michael Baker be awarded the design services contract for a fee not to exceed $600,000. The exact fee will be determined on a time and materials basis for design of the pipelines that are determined to be ready for construction the earliest. Staff is also proposing a total budget of $700,000, including this design contract and staff costs. So I now invite your questions. I do note I wasn't able to verify, but we should have on the line a representative from Michael Baker.
Yes, we do.
Great.
All right, thank you, Derek. Questions or comments from the board?
I have a comment, Madam President. I think this is something really important for us to do. We need to be proactive in preventing these kinds of pipeline failures. We don't want to be on the 5 o'clock news as having flooded a garage somewhere, a large parking garage I'm thinking of. And it's just a smart thing to do. It's less expensive to do this proactively than to go back and repair after you've had a failure. It's a smart thing to do, and I move approval.
I'll second it. I think it's a great idea. And let's move it.
Okay, thank you for those comments. And Mr. Miller, you said we do have a representative from Michael Baker?
I believe I saw them on Zoom.
Momo Savarkin.
And
Yes.
sir, did you have any comments today for the board?
No, I just want to thank you very much for the opportunity to compete for this challenging job.
Okay, and if I may, can I ask you a question? Did you have any concerns in regard to the contract, the specs, or any of the proposal?
I believe concerns that we may have had were responded during negotiation, and we don't have any concerns that are unresolved at this point.
Okay, that's fantastic because I don't like change orders. So I just want to make sure that everything was taken care of ahead of time. And unless there are any other members of the board who have any questions or comments, we'll go ahead and call for the vote.
Any comments from the public before we vote? Hearing none.
I see no requests to comment.
Roll call vote, please.
Thank you. Director Galliano,
Oh, yeah.
Director Rizvi,
Yes.
Director Gardner,
Yes.
Director Torres, Director Torres, President Dinstedt.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. The motion passes 4-0 with Director Torres being absent.
Thank you, and we'd like to thank the contractor for being present today, and congratulations on the award of that contract, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, that takes us to item 7D. This is considering the adoption of Resolution 3167, electing to have charges for sewer service collected on the county tax roll. Anna Briones is here. This item went to the Finance Committee. Anna, could you give us a brief presentation on this item?
Thank you, Craig. Good morning, members of the board. This item seeks the board's adoption of Resolution 3167, electing to have fiscal year 2021 to 2022 sewer service charges for parcels where Western provides sewer service but not water service collected on the county tax roll, and to set a public hearing at 9:30 a.m. on July 7, 2021. At that public hearing, the board would consider a resolution adopting the placement of sewer service charges on the tax roll. This practice has been done annually by Western since 1991. Placing charges for sewer service from non-water service customers on the county tax roll will help ensure collection of these charges. Placing sewer charges on the tax roll will allow for the collection of approximately 1.2 million of sewer charges and affects approximately 1,900 sewer accounts in the La Sierra service area, specifically home gardens and nearby areas. And staff is recommending adoption of Resolution 3167. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Anna. Any comments from the board?
Just a quick question. So this has been our practice before?
This is our annual practice. We've been doing this since, I think Anna said 1991.
Okay.
Right, and if I may, the health and safety codes requires that there be a hearing, but it's not a majority protest hearing. It's only a requirement that if you're going to collect for services rendered on the tax rolls, there's a notice in advance of that.
Okay. Thank you.
I think this is a good thing.
And we need to be clear today too that we're just setting the public hearing. We're not agreeing to anything at this point. We're just setting the public hearing for, I believe, July 7th, you said, Anna?
Correct, yes. We're just setting the public hearing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we should go ahead and set the hearing. It's something we really do need to do. Otherwise, we end up with one group of customers who pay their bills subsidizing a group who doesn't. I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Okay. Any public comment on this?
I see no request to speak.
Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and call for the vote.
Thank you. Director Galliano?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Rizvi?
Yes.
Director Gardner?
Yes.
Director Torres? Director Torres? President Denstedt?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. The motion passes 4-0 with Director Torres not responding.
All right,
Yes,
thank you.
I'm sorry about that.
All right, was that a vote, Director Torres? I didn't hear what she said. Okay. Moving on to item 7E. This is very similar to the last item that Anna just presented. This is Resolution 3168 to set a public hearing for sewer charges in the Marietta service area. Anna?
Thank you, Craig. Like Craig mentioned, this is to request the adoption of Resolution 3168 to set forth water and sewer availability charges proposed for Western's Marietta service area and the setting of a public hearing at 9:30 a.m. on July 7, 2021. At that public hearing, the board would consider a resolution adopting the placement of water and sewer availability charges on the county tax roll for all properties within the Marietta service area. The availability charge, also known as a standby charge, is equal to $21 per acre or $21 per parcel if the parcel is less than 1 acre for each water and sewer, totaling $42 per parcel. This is the same charge that has been applied since 2003. It affects 4,500 parcels and is projected to generate a total of $262,000. Availability charges, along with customer-paid water and sewer charges, provide the necessary revenue to pay for operating and maintaining the water and sewer systems in the Marietta service area. Staff is recommending the adoption of this resolution, and that concludes my summary.
All right, thank you, Anna. Comments or questions from the board?
Madam President, I'll move approval.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any public comment, Madam Secretary?
I see no requests to speak.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call for the vote to set this public hearing.
Thank you. Director Galliano,
Yes.
Director Risby,
Yes.
Director Gardner,
Yes.
Director Torres,
Yes.
President Dinstedt.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. The motion passes 5-0.
All right, our final action item is item 7F. This is again setting a public hearing for compliance with the Urban Water Management Planning Act. Melissa Matlock is here to give a brief presentation. Melissa?
Yes, good morning, everyone. The Urban Water Management Planning Act requires urban water suppliers to update and adopt its urban water management plan at least once every 5 years, with the next one due July 1st, 2021 to the Department of Water Resources. Pursuant to recent amendments to this act, suppliers are also required to adopt a separate water shortage contingency plan and adopt an addendum to their 2015 plan that demonstrates consistency with the Delta Plan policy to reduce reliance on the Delta through improved regional water self-reliance. In order to adopt these 3 items, the California Water Code requires agencies to make their plans available for public inspection and host a public hearing at which the public may submit or verbalize comments on the draft report. As of May 18th, the draft plans are available on Western's website. Today's action is to set the public hearing date for 9:30 a.m. on Wednesday, June 16th, 2021. Staff will present details regarding these items at the May 24th EOWR committee meeting and the board meeting on June 16th, 2021. So staff's recommendation, with the concurrence of legal counsel, requests that the board of directors set one public hearing during the board of directors meeting on June 16th, 2021 to consider the adoption of the 3 plans: Western Municipal Water District's draft 2015 Urban Water Management Plan Addendum, Western Municipal Water District's draft Water Shortage Contingency Plan, and Western Municipal Water District's draft 2020 Urban Water Management Plan. I'm available for any questions or comments.
Thank you, Melissa. As Melissa said, we will be presenting this to the EOWR at the next meeting before it comes back for the public hearing. The public hearing will also have a presentation available for the public at that meeting too. So with that, be happy to answer any questions from the board.
So the public hearing would be at our regular board meeting?
Yes, it'll be our second meeting in June, and we have to adopt this prior to July 1 to stay in compliance with state regulations.
Perfect. I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. And Mr. Ferre, I do have a question in regard to this item. For a public hearing, does this not have the same requirement of a 45-day noticing on this?
No, this is not a Prop 218 nor a rate hearing. This is a public hearing to notice the public that this urban water management plan and the other 2 plans will be considered by the board, but there's no strict requirement in that regard.
I just wanted to make sure we were clear on that. So thank you very much. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, could we go ahead and call for the vote?
Thank you. Director Galliano,
Yes.
Director Risby,
Yes.
Director Gardner,
Yes.
Director Torres,
Yes.
President Dinstedt.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. The motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to staff reports. General Counsel.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Just wanted to mention one of the issues that's at the forefront now, and I think I mentioned this before, is with the CDC guidelines on May 13th and the current state schedule of June 15th for lifting a number of the pandemic lockdown requirements, there's been some concern about how quickly and how public agencies will need to ramp back up to public meetings for public attendance in person. A letter was recently sent out on May 18th, yesterday, by pretty much all of the statewide associations involving cities, counties, water agencies, etc., including Aqua and CMUA, to request that the governor provide at least a 30-day period if after any executive order is changed or repealed in order to provide time to prepare for the return of not only staff and board members, but the public to public meetings. As I've also mentioned, so we will see what happens with that response, and we will see what the governor decides to do. On a separate track, as I mentioned before, there are a number of bills currently pending that may provide flexibility for continuing online and virtual meetings after the lockdown is done, and or how that will apply to board members, because as we know, currently the law pre-pandemic was that a board member could participate remotely, but they'd have to post an agenda and have the public accessible to wherever they are. Certainly that's something that would be a concern now with the pandemic and the lockdown and the ongoing COVID concerns. So both things are moving forward. We'll certainly have more guidance when the state comes out with more guidance. In the meantime, the board can, continue with the current structure. It can indeed invite the public to the meetings. I think for rate hearings that we've already done that in the past. So we will see where this goes, and that's all I have, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Foray.
So question.
Any questions for legal counsel?
Yeah. So our June 2nd meeting, it's going to be open to public, which is a public hearing, right? We can do it, but it's before the June 15th.
Right. I think we are.
I'm going to go over that in my general manager report.
And yes,
I'll run through
that is allowed.
How we're going to handle that.
Okay.
Yeah. So
more to come on that.
Yeah, and so the process now, as it was when we had a previous hearing and when we had the interviews for board member vacancy, was the same protocol you could use now.
Okay. Perfect.
So I'll do my presentation
Perfect.
and then
Thank
Director ask
Thank
questions if I don't cover what you're looking for in my presentation.
Thank you.
Does that conclude your report, Mr. Foray?
Yes, it does.
Thank you. General manager report, I have a few things to go over. The first of which is really excellent news on the financial front. I want to make sure that I report that Fitch raised our credit rating. So we were raised to a AAA credit rating, which is amazing. That is the second credit rating increase that we've had this fiscal year. So we were upgraded to AA plus and now to a AAA. So amazing news on the financial front. Next up, I asked Tim and our operations staff to put together a brief presentation on the Victoria Recharge Basin. We've completed that project. That's an exciting project. Now all we need is for it to rain so we can capture water and utilize it. But I wanted to take 5 minutes to just kind of give the board a little more information about that project. We've been doing some testing out there, and Tim's going to run through that for us. Tim?
Good morning, members of the board. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Fantastic. As you know, the Victoria Recharge Basin has been a construction project that's been underway for some time. The operations team just completed some testing, as Craig said. I'm going to go through some of the details, but first I want to show you a video that Strategic Communication put together. So Spencer, can you go to the next slide? And we've got a 2.5-minute video.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Spencer.
If you've ever had the opportunity to cruise down historic Victoria Avenue in the city of Riverside, you know it's one of the prettiest streets in town. But behind the scenes of this tree-lined road, Western is hard at work gathering runoff water from rain in the nearby orange groves, farms, and homes that make this street so special. On the corner of Jackson Street and Victoria Avenue, you'll find Western's Recharge Basin. Despite your first impression, it's not just a dirt lot. There's a lot more than meets the eye. Before Western built this basin, water runoff would quickly flow out of the area, making it unavailable to customers. Rather than allow that to happen, Western knew this was the perfect site to capture it and use it to recharge or refill the local groundwater supply. How does all this work? It starts with water from either rainfall or local runoff flowing into a collection area called a settling pond. From there, water travels down a concrete channel and is released into either the east or west basin. And now, it's time to recharge. The water collected in the basins seeps back into the ground, is absorbed by the soil, and makes its way into a groundwater aquifer, replenishing and recharging this local water supply. Yep, it's hard to believe, but there's an aquifer about 200 feet underground located between the rock and layers of soil beneath your feet. The recharge process happens in nature after a good rain or with water runoff. Western's basin is engineered to speed up the recharge process and return the water to the aquifer more quickly. Thanks to this process, our basins have the capacity to recharge up to 2,500 acre-feet of water annually. That's enough water to fill more than 1,200 Olympic-sized swimming pools. The more water we collect, the more local groundwater is available for you, our customer. The recharge basin is the first and last step to connecting the drops for Western's Riverside service area and creating a sustainable model not only for delivering water directly to you, but also storing water for future generations.
All right, thank you, Spencer. Can we have the next slide, please? So that video was put together by our strategic communications team, and it is available on the website, and they've sent it out via social media. The purpose of the groundwater basin, as mentioned in the video, is to collect stormwater first and foremost, but we do have the ability to actually grab non-potable water. It is connected to our non-potable water system. The idea is that it will sustain the Arlington groundwater basin and make deliveries to our wholesale and retail customers through the Arlington desalter. Let's have the next slide. It was supported by grant funding. We received about $3 million from state and federal and county funds, bringing the total cost down from about $11 million to about $8 million to build the basin. The Metropolitan Water District recently provided us an additional $500,000 to do a pilot monitoring test. They're going to fund additional wells, monitoring wells, so that we can study what the benefit is of stormwater capture. It's a first of its kind in the metropolitan system. Next slide, please. So the operations team did the first test, about an 8-day test. They moved about 84 acre-feet of water from the non-potable system. We purchased this water from the city of Riverside, ran it through the Riverside Canal system, through our Jefferson pump station, into our non-potable system, and into the recharge basins. I do have a video showing that, but first, let's go to the next slide. Here's some images of the startup and the water flowing. Next slide. We do have the capability to monitor this. We have a very sophisticated SCADA monitoring system, so the operations team can actually monitor the levels of both basins, the east and the west basin, as well as the monitors of the 4 monitoring wells, the levels of the 4 monitoring wells. So I'm going to go to the next slide, and Spencer, I hope everybody has taken their motion sickness pills, because we took this video with the drone. The operations team used the drone. And Spencer, can you start this at about 1 minute, 30 seconds? We're only going to watch about 1.5 minutes of it, because we've all seen water flow. But let's go to 1.5 minutes, and we'll let it run. So you can see that at the end of the basin there, we've got water flowing in from the non-potable system. The video that Sarah's team put together shows water traveling down the channel. That's storm flow. This is water coming out of the pipes at the end of the basin. It is non-potable water from the Riverside Basin. Currently in the East Basin, the flow was enough to achieve a level of about 5 feet, so we filled it to about 5 feet. And as the drone kind of picks up here, you're going to see that water is flowing actually at the same time, simultaneously, into both basins, the East and the West Basin. We were able to measure the infiltration rates. The East Basin, we achieved about a 2 foot per day infiltration rate. and in the West Basin about 3.7 feet per day. Again, we recharged the basins with about 84 feet of water, and in total, about 10 acre-feet a day over the 8 days were recharged into the ground. You can see both basins there from the drone. That's about an 8-day test. We did stop the test after 8 days and took a brief pause, and they're out there today testing it again. They're filling them again to conduct a second test on the basins. So we have come a long way, and that concludes the presentation.
All right, thank you, Tim. It's great to see that.
Thank you very much.
Great to see that in operation. Spencer, can you go to the COVID update presentation, please? So my next update is our, sorry.
Before you do, just a quick question. Is there a designed difference in infiltration rates between the two basins?
No, that's geology. So
okay.
We've known that all along since we started doing the initial geologic work, that for some reason the one on the, as you're facing the facility, the one on the right or the one to the west, I guess, has always recharged better than the other one. And it just has to do with the soil condition underneath.
Okay, thank you.
And that's why you saw one of them was only half full and the other was full. That's because at the flow rate that we're putting it in, it can't fill the basin. It's percolating so fast that the basin didn't fill up at that flow rate.
Okay, thank you.
Which is really good news. 3 feet or 2 feet or 3 feet is an outstanding recharge rate. If you look at a standard, that's excellent. All right, let's go to the coronavirus update. We do this monthly. Go ahead, next slide. So as always, no service interruptions. Our demands, we haven't seen a spike in demands. Great news, again, no new COVID cases reported. We're still continuing our shut-off suspension, and we are waiting to see how the state progresses in our reopening plans. But we have started to bring staff back because under Orange, in our reopening plan, we start bringing back phases of staffing. So you'll see more administrative staff in the office, and as you know, the operations staff has been fully deployed the entire pandemic. Next slide. We report on our past due account. So it did spike a little bit for this report to $674,000, about 1,000 customers. Next slide. So I wanted to give a little update on financial assistance programs. So there are several programs that are out there that our customers can access. So the CAP program, this is a community action partnership. We've had 13 customers who have applied for that program. The ERAP program, we've got some verification that 5 customers have applied, but we haven't received any funds yet. And then United Lift, we haven't received any funds, and only 1 customer has applied. So we're marketing these, but we're not getting a lot of traction so far. The other thing I want, it's really important. The other good news is CMUA has been lobbying really since about August to increase the state budget, to have the governor increase the state budget. So great news, the governor did that. So in the May revise of the budget, there's $1 billion to utilize towards customer past due accounts. So we got our fingers crossed that stays in. Budget still needs to be approved, and CMUA's recommended process is that money comes directly to us. There's no middleman, no way to divert those funds to other uses or other administrative costs. So we're sending out letters to all of our legislators to support that program. So that's great news. We thought we would likely have to lower that amount from $1 billion, but the governor followed through and put in there. So that's good news for our past due customers. Next slide. And you know, I won't roll through this whole slide, but you know, we are doing extensive outreach to make sure that we advocate for that, and then we get the message out to our customers. That's really important. We're trying to figure out the most effective way to do that, but there'll be a big effort, especially if that $1 billion hits, because that's going to be significant. Next slide. All right, thank you. I have a couple more quick updates. As Director Risby was asking, I wanted to run through the process for the June 2nd hearing. So again, that is our rate adjustment hearing. That's at 6 p.m. on June 2nd. The meeting will be a Zoom meeting and live streamed. Board members obviously are welcome to attend. If they want to Zoom, they can Zoom. The public is going to have numerous ways that they can comment. So like always, they can respond in a written format submitted to us by 4:30 the prior day. They will be able to make comments per Zoom. As far as in-person attendance, we are going to allow them to make comment in person. We obviously don't have the seating to handle the people in here, so we'll line them up, first come, first serve. The temperatures will be checked. We'll move the podium likely to the back of the room. They'll be brought in to make their up to 3-minute comment, and then they'll be escorted out and the next person will be brought in. So we aren't gonna have the ability to allow them to stay and watch all the comments and watch the meeting, but they can make their comment in front of the board. As far as the formal protest process, you can make formal protests up till the conclusion of the hearing. So that's not 4:30 the prior day. It's actually, we will receive those up till the conclusion of the hearing. A formal protest has to include name, address, or account number, and a signature. So it can't just be speaking as a member of the public that I'm against the rates. It has to be a signed protest, and that is well publicized on our website and in the mailer that went out to every single one of our customers and all the outreach that Sarah and her team is doing. Finally, my last update is from the Murrieta service area. You may recall in 2018 we did what we called the no-does flushing. There was a lot of gravel and rock and other debris that was in the system because the north well casing was failing. We cleaned out about 3,000 pounds of material during that process. So that process basically pumps water out of the system and runs it through a filter. We collect the bags of material as it's filtered out. The water's put right back into the system, so we don't waste a drop of water doing that. So we wanted to check and see how clean the system is now that the new well has been drilled and it's back connected and everything. So we did it again, and we had 3,000 pounds the first time. We had 650 pounds the second time. So the system was very clean. We plan on doing this probably every 3 to 4 years just to maintain that system. But we have found this no-does flushing system. It's very effective, doesn't waste any water. The traditional way that water agencies do this is they flush the water out through a pipeline into a creek or something like that and waste the water. So this doesn't waste a drop of water. So that was really good news. We're happy that the system is staying very, very clean over there. That concludes my reports, President Denstead.
Thank you very much. Any questions from any of the members of the board? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to directors' reports and requests. SAPA Commission. So SAPA's agenda was very light yesterday. I do come with very sad and unfortunate news, and it is with a heavy heart that we have lost one of our staff members who passed away. Jerry, and I believe the name is correctly pronounced, Oldenburg, passed away as a SAPA staff member. So we are sending our condolences through SAPA to his family, and he was a longtime employee of SAPA, and he will be genuinely missed. So with that, we'll go ahead and move on to the Met Rep.
Yes, thank you, Brenda. The Met board met a couple of weeks ago, as I reported, and there was a general manager that was selected, and that announcement will be sometime in June. I think there has to be some negotiations before you actually hire anybody. So I'm not at liberty to reveal any more information with regard to that. So and then the Chino Basin ongoing, as Michael can attest to. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, Director Galliano. All right, CDA report.
Hi, everyone. Give me a second. Let me pull that up. So at the last meeting, sorry about that. At the last meeting, we approved an agreement for cleanup services and solids handling support, and we adopted the capital and O&M budget. And that's it. It was a good meeting.
Is that the end of your report, Director Torres?
Yes.
Okay. I had a really quick question, just as a curiosity question. What's the water capacity that they're doing out of CDA now? What's the acre feet? Do you know?
I'm sorry. Were you asking me?
Yeah, I was asking for CDA. I just wanted to know if you could. I just wanted to know what kind of acre feet are they selling out of CDA now?
I don't have those details in front of me. Would staff know? Derek or Craig?
No, we haven't been monitoring it that closely. We'd have to look it up.
Okay, I was just curious if we were at full capacity on that and what the acre foot is being put out annually on that. So just a curiosity question. And that's fine.
About
Rick
40,000 acre feet per year.
Thank you, Director Galliano. We'll go ahead and move on to the RCRA representative.
We meet next week.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't have a report for WRCOG other than the fact that, unfortunately, this is not a great month for any of the boards that I'm sitting on. And it is also with a very heavy heart that I announced that we have lost 2 WRCOG members. Jordan Aaron Krantz, who was a council member for Canyon Lake, has passed away. And so most recently, also Ike Bootsma has passed away from the city of Eastvale on their council. So I want to ask for the board will be doing an adjournment in honor of all 3 of these individuals who have done work with our agency and have served in a capacity for the greater good and for their public service and acknowledgement. And I would ask that my fellow board members give me the authority to be able to write condolence letters to their families and to their agencies on behalf of our agency. So I would hope that you guys would be okay with that.
Thank you, Brenda, for volunteering to do that. I think that's fine on my behalf.
Go ahead, Brenda. Thank you.
Okay, so if we could prepare that to send over to their respective agencies and offer our condolences and our sympathy from us, that would be much appreciated, folks. And then, Sarah, there was no meeting this month. It was canceled, so we'll go on. Director's comments. Director Galliano, any comments today?
No.
Okay, thank you. Director Torres, any comments today?
I do have one comment. I've been getting emails from some constituents that are concerned about the timeliness of their physical bill. I think the most recent example was they received their bill 3 days before it was actually due. And while I understand there are other ways to access the bill, if someone's out of town or some other thing happens in their life, that's unrealistically short amount of time to pay their bills. Is this common? Should I just send over the constituents? Because I've been getting these questions and I haven't elevated them here just because I kept hoping it was like some type of a fluke.
Director Torres, my suggestion to you would be to forward those communications to staff so they could look into that and then communicate directly with the person that it's involving on their account.
Thank you. I'll address the general manager now. Thanks. What I was asking is if it's common for the bill to arrive that soon.
No, this is the first I've ever heard of that, so it's certainly not common.
Okay, then that's good. That was mostly my question, but I will send over their information to you, Craig. Thank you.
Okay, Director Gardner, any comments today?
Just a quick response to Director Torres' issue. It's not unlikely that the delay is a Postal Service delay. I have seen that somewhat commonly. You may actually see a postmark that is even a week or more prior to the date it is actually delivered. The Postal Service is short of staff. Some people are working double routes. They're actively hiring. So that could be where that issue is occurring. And then my other comment is just to congratulate our staff, particularly the financial side, on the AAA rating. That's a big deal and a real accomplishment. So congratulations and thank you.
You're welcome. We are very happy about that. And that saves our customers a huge amount of money in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you for those comments. Director Risby, any comments today?
I have the same comments as my colleague Mike Gardner said, that congratulations, great job, team of getting these ratings. I know it's a hard work, especially during the pandemic, and year after year this has shown that you guys are doing a great job. And I wanted to thank the employees for having the reach a contract deal, and we really appreciate us working with them. So
thank you for those comments. And that will be my comment as well. Since I've been on this board, that's been a goal, and I know that that's been the bar and where we've wanted to place it. And to get that AAA rating finally is a huge accomplishment, and what a lift for staff. So thank you on behalf of the executive team, the finance team, and everything that you guys do. And then obviously all of our folks that we have in place for our consultants and everything else that have put us in that position and got that rating. So thank you very much. Do appreciate that. Okay, looking for requests for future agenda items. Anybody with future requests for agenda items?
Madam President, could I go back to comments for just a moment? I neglected to
Certainly.
Thank you for your letter to the board members. I think it's a good reminder for all of us that why we're here, what we are supposed to be doing, and our obligation to each other and to our customers to do that job well. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Gardner. Appreciate that. Okay, we'll move on through information items, folks. Those are for your information to peruse as you feel necessary and want. And we have one closed session. Is that correct, Mr. Foray?
Yes, we do have one closed session as set forth on item 10A of the agenda today.
Okay, we'll go ahead and, like I said, folks, we'll be adjourning this meeting today after our closed session in honor of all those folks that we have most recently lost. So with that, staff need a couple of minutes to move us into closed session. So we'll see everybody there in 5 minutes.
That's fine. 5 minutes is great.
Thank you.
Michael, do you have the list of closed session participants?
Yes, sir.
We are all here?
All right, can we take roll, please?
Thank you. Director Galliano. Director Rizvi.
Here.
Director Gardner.
Here.
Director Torres.
Here.
President Denstedt.
I am present. Thank you.
Thank you. President Denstedt, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Mr. Frey, can we go ahead and make an announcement out of closed session, please?
Thank you. Yes, the board met in closed session on item 10A under 54956.9 regarding both cases listed. There was direction given to legal counsel to answer or respond to said complaints, and that was the only reportable action.
Thank you very much, Mr. Frey. Okay, with no other items before us today on our agenda, folks, we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting and do that on behalf of our fellow colleagues from other agencies. We'll do that in honor of Council Member Jordan Ehrenkrantz from the city of Canyon Lake, Council Member Ike Bootsma from the city of Eastvale, and then from the SAPA staff member, Jerry Oldenburg, who passed away. And we will adjourn in their honor. Thank you so much for your attendance today. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you on June 2nd. Have a great day, everyone.